this episode right here, this is for you dreamers. This is for the people who just want to hit go, for the ones still Googling, do I need an LLC to start? For the founders staring at their laptop thinking, am I actually allowed to do this? Yes, you are, Queen. This is for the business owners in their first 90 days. So buckle up with this episode, even if you're making it up as you go. Because let me tell you a secret. We all were. We all are. Every CEO you admire started out exactly where you are right now. Uncertain, overwhelmed, excited, and honestly, slightly undercaffeinated. Let's get into it. Ever wonder what it really takes to build a business and a life that feels like yours? Welcome to That Big CEO Energy. I'm Callie, entrepreneur, operations whiz, and your go-to for the real, raw, and unfiltered side of business and life. Because let's be honest, entrepreneurship isn't just about strategy and success. It's about figuring out who you are in the messy middle, trying new things, well, just because you can, and creating a life that actually fits you. From solo deep dives to candid convos with powerhouse business owners, we're talking all about the highs and the lows and the why did no one warn me about this moments that come while chasing big dreams. So let's get uncomfortable, embrace the chaos, and make it happen. You guys, today we're gonna talk about this whole roadmap of getting your business off the ground. We're gonna talk about this idea of like putting stuff off. Come on, you all know what this is like. It's like, I could do this tomorrow. This doesn't need to be done today. Let's work on the fun stuff, right? We've all been there, and I am this person. I am, but I have over my time of spending with my clients and spending with business owners that literally have nothing other than maybe they have like gone to LegalZoom and done some things. They have no idea. They are, you know what? I just met with somebody yesterday. I'm going to talk about her. She's so sweet and so kind. And she has, the website. She has other things like the Calendly, all the stuff that you get when you approach the time of like, oh yeah, I need something like that. And one of the things that I had showed her around, which this is not sponsored, was the idea of like using something like Go High Level. And the way her eyes lit up was just like, oh my goodness. So we're going to talk about all the things, but one of the things that I want to share is doing this all within 90 days. Because your first 90 days of business are so crucial. It is like your momentum. You're still super on fire, right? Like you are encouraged by what bright idea you have, which is so amazing. And so we want to harness that. We really want to take advantage of what that looks like. And I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about it. They don't really talk about kind of the first 90 days and how it is so crucial to wire your brain in such a way for momentum. And so we're going to talk about what to prioritize, what sort of to ignore, and how to build the momentum even when your clarity feels slippery, even when, maybe some people are telling you not to do that within your first 90 days. And I'm also going to tell you about something super, super fun. So stay tuned for that. But first, I just want to go back to like day one. And here's the honest truth. Your first 90 days is not going to be polished. And I talked about this a few weeks ago in an episode where we have a really good way of looking at somebody's year 5 and comparing it to our first 20 days. Like, we're supposed to be where they are. And when we're not, we feel like we have to scramble. We feel like we have to haphazardly put things together in order to make it seem like we also are on year 5. And the reality is like, that is just not what you should be doing. Number one, for your mental health, but also that's not how it's supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be about mastery, not movement. And that's what your 90 days really, I think is crucial in remembering, is that, I started my business literally because I became unemployed. And I built a website within 48 hours on WordPress, which also, by the way, only lasted for 48 hours because I was in there playing around and I hit a button, and still to this day, you guys, still to this day, I cannot tell you what happened. It disappeared. And I thought, oh my gosh, now I got to start all over. So I spent another 48 hours putting together a Squarespace website. And I'll tell you that it got me through my first year. And then I always say that your website is just sort of like this evolving of you, right? It's allowed to change and it's allowed to flourish and it's allowed to be this living and breathing mechanism out of who you are and what your business are. So anyways, I was bootstrapping everything. I had me and my little Google search bar. We were doing it because I had been in corporate for so long. Like, everything is just done for you. And the same person that I talked to the other day, she mentioned that too, of I had people do this for me. I had systems already in place before I even got there. So putting it together, creating a plan, that just wasn't in my cards. And I feel like a lot of us show up that way on our day one of business or our day one of our side hustle, of like, we don't have anything to help us. We don't have people that are like, yes, please, let me help you do this. Because number one, we don't have money to do that. But then also, like, what am I doing? So I literally was bootstrapping everything. I had no clue how to price myself. And I was terrified that somebody would ask for a refund that I couldn't give. But also, at every turn, I realized that I was pricing myself way too low. And what wasn't helping me was, what helped me wasn't a perfect strategy. It was structure and it was permission to drive, permission to build something small, intentional, and permission to experiment, but also permission to pivot. So I just kind of want to give you encouragement that if you're in this place right now, hear me when I say you are not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're doing exactly right for what you need right now. But I think we can define some sort of like parameters, right? And I want to give you kind of like a flyover overview of sort of how you can put together your first 90 days to make sure that you have all of your checks and balances, but also you are feeling confident that when it's time to actually start talking about it, you're like, okay, I can do this. So let's start with month 1. This is kind of like your clarity and foundations page. This is your clarity and foundations phase, is what I'm going to call it. And so I'm going to give you 5 sort of focus areas, if you will. So if you're multitasking, I come back and write these down. If you're driving, save this episode. But what is the problem you are going to solve? Think about that for a minute. Business is just solving problems. Think about, like, if you are in a corporate job now, or you have been in a corporate job, that's all you were doing. You were solving people's problems. Same thing if we go through the fast food. What problem are they solving? Our hunger, right? Like, business is just solving problems, period. So when we think about our business and when we think about putting it together, What am I helping people fix? What am I helping them feel? And what am I helping them to find? And what's that result if I help them get to it? Right? It doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be true. And it needs to be with your whole heart, because when you can define the problem that you are solving for people, it is so much easier to articulate what that is and how you help them. So how you help them fix it, how you help them feel it, and how you help them find it. And choose your person. I'm just going to say this out loud. I am. Women between 25 to 60 is not a niche. There, I said it. You could probably turn off this episode now and move on, but women between 25 and 60 is not a niche. What keeps them up at night? What have they tried before that just didn't work? What have you tried before that didn't work that you want to fill the gap on? What language do they use to describe their pain or desire? What is that? Is it, I'm up at night because I don't know what to eat, and I have decision paralysis every time I walk in the kitchen? And every time I think that I get up and I'm going to make a good decision about food, by the time 2 p.m. rolls around, I am wanting a whole bag of chips. And the language that they use to describe that is, it feels defeating. It feels like I am inside somebody else's body every time I reach for the bag of chips. And I feel guilty, and I feel like I'm never going to make progress. If you are somebody who helps women get their food noise under control, that's your niche. Those are your people. I'm your people. But it's not a woman between 25 and 60. Yes, it includes women that are between the ages of 25 and 60. But not every woman between the age of 25 and 60 has a problem, yes? So choose your person. And here's the thing, we get so excited about offers. Like, we get so excited about everything that we could offer, and we want to offer it today, and we want to offer it tomorrow, and like right now. But I am going to say something really controversial. You only need one offer. One. Not a buffet, not a pick 3, not a DM me for pricing. Give it a name, give it a price, and give it a purpose. And it can and it will change later. But for just right now, just ship it. I want you to say that every time you think that you need 15 different offers. You need one. But for now, I'm going to ship it, is what you're going to tell yourself. Just going to ship it. And if you don't know what your offer is, we're going to come back to 1 and 2. We're going to define the problem that you solve, and we're going to choose your person. What do they need? Do some market research, you guys. Make it buyable. You need a payment link. So again, coming back to this wonderful woman, she uses QuickBooks for her one-on-one coaching. She also has a freebie download. But what comes after that, right? How do you move people from free to one-on-one? They need something in between. So now you're probably thinking, well, that's 3 offers. No, it's not. It's 1 offer. And here's why it's 1 offer. You are giving them things to think about to get to your 1 offer. You're giving them a freebie, right? That gives them something, a little nibble. And then maybe you give them something small that they can buy that explores on the freebie, which is like an ebook or something, right? Some bigger product that they can uncover. And then we're nurturing them for the big offer, right? Do you see, like, those 2 things, the freebie and the low ticket, those are complements to what your 1 offer is. This is not rocket science, you guys. But you need a payment link. You need an onboarding process. Even if it's a Google form and a PayPal button, you need to make it real. Google Workspace is lovely for a lot of things, and it's kind of like your iPhone. we don't necessarily use it to its full capacity. And if you are somebody who, like me, was bootstrapping, use the things that are free to be able to get by or low cost, right? So number 4 is make it viable. Number 5, talk about it. Nobody knows what you have if you don't talk about what they need. This one's a bit scary, but it's crucial. Like, you have to tell people. Start with a warmer circle, right? Post about it online. Tell your friends. Maybe we're discounting something to have some testimonials come out of it, right? I'm not going to say to these people, I'm launching a business, but I'm going to say to these people, here's how I can help you. There's a big difference. Okay, so your first month, we're going to get super, super clear. We're going to define the problem that we have. We're going to choose our person. We're going to pick our starter offer. We're going to make it viable, and then we're going to talk about it. We're actually going to talk about it. So the second sort of 30 days, so we're in month 2, right? 60 days is all about action and refinement. And I always say that this is like where our momentum is built. You're moving from idea to implementation. And it's so going to feel clunky at first, but I promise you that's normal. Like, sometimes in year 5, it still feels clunky at first when I'm trying to like get things up and going. And it's totally okay. But here's what we're going to focus on in our next 30 days. Streamline your workflow. This is super crucial. If you can get super defined and ask yourself, what happens from I'm interested to I pay you to I get the results? What happens during that time, right? Like, how do they find you? How do they pay for it? And then what happens next? Even if you are not automating it, even if you are not having all the bells and whistles in the back end, it should be clear to you. There should be a defined workflow on paper. There should be a defined workflow in your brain, whatever that is. But how do people, and this is just part of getting organized, how do people go from I'm interested to let me pay you for this thing? And then what result do they get? The next thing is we are going to get visible. And this is where I struggle. Because visibility is not just about posting every day. For some people that feels sticky and it feels gross, and for me it definitely does, but it's about showing up where your audience already is. So if you are a LinkedIn junkie, which this woman that I talked to the other day, she is like, LinkedIn is her people. That's where she shows up. That's where she's going to be visible. That's where her business is going to execute. Maybe it's a local Facebook group. Maybe it's a farmer's market table if you are in that niche. Or maybe it is social media, but with clarity, right? Like, what platform? You don't have to be on every platform, you guys. You don't. If Facebook is your jam and you have a lot of traction on Facebook and you're having really, really good conversations over there, then utilize Facebook. If Instagram is your jam, or Pinterest, or whatever that may be, pick a niche spot where your audience is already showing up and get visible. It's about being strategic. It's not about posting every day, yeah? Again, you don't need to be on all the platforms. You just need to be present and consistent somewhere. So then what we're going to do is we're going to collect proof and we're going to collect feedback. So your first few clients, I want you to do something really scary. I want you to ask them for a testimonial. Sometimes this is built out of your offboarding process. I want you to ask them for a review, and I want you to ask them for their honest input. It is okay to say to someone, you know what, I'm running this as a beta. I'm running this as something I may offer in the large masses. Would you be super willing to just give me honest feedback throughout this process or even the onboarding process, right? This is gold. It shapes your messaging, it shapes your offers, and it shapes your confidence. It gives you skin in the game. And so we need to not be shy about asking for those things. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust. We're never going to abandon. If you have done the work of finding who your niche is, what you have to offer, how you can help somebody, and you're super, super comfortable talking about it, if something flops, we're not going to scrap the whole thing. We're going to ask ourselves some key questions here. Was it the offer? Was it the message? Was it the timing? It can be any one of those things, but refinement is a form of success. We're going to learn about it, we're going to tweak it, and we're going to keep going. We are not just going to jump ship and go find something else to do. That's just not it. Because most of the time, it's coming back to we weren't visible enough. We weren't talking about it loud enough. We weren't in the realm of where our people actually are that need the thing. And so now you've got to go back and you've got to do some market research. That doesn't mean that you're abandoning ship. It means that you're adjusting where you are putting this thing out. Yeah? Makes sense? Okay, I know this is a lot. Hang with me, but we are almost done. So part 3 here is your final 30 days. This is when you start to refine it and reach out, right? So this is where you build a lot of traction. And so now that you've tested some things, it's time to really start to tighten things up. KPIs. You guys, I don't care if you work for yourself. KPIs are huge. You need to pick a key performance indicator. That's what that stands for. And we're going to track what matters and what to watch. It could be your email list growth. It could be your sales. It could be your discovery calls. It could be your site traffic, right? But we're going to watch them weekly and we're going to look for trends. This is the part of the back end of your business that most people miss out on. And then they wonder why they have to go back and they have to abandon ship and not just adjust, right? So these two things sort of work hand in hand. We're adjusting, we're not abandoning, but we're doing it because we're tracking what matters. How do you know what to track? Well, if you are, let's say you have a website and you have a freebie and you have a workflow that's attached to that, track how many people are signing up for that. If nobody is reaching for it within like the 7 days, right, that you have been watching it, what can you do different? Can you run a little ad? Can you share it out and like organically just give it to people, right? So we wouldn't be able to know how it's doing or if we're just speaking into the void unless we track what it is. And that could be on a spreadsheet, write it down. I don't even care. It doesn't matter. But then we're going to build a repeatable system. What do you find yourself doing over and over? Like, find something, whether that is, if you're client-based and you work with a client, what are the things that are coming up all the time that the problem is that you're solving? Can you water it down to create templates, workflows, checklists, right? This is how you sort of protect your energy and grow faster. And this is what people mean by this quote unquote passive income, is finding things that can be a repeatable system by what you're doing yourself over and over and over. And then we're just going to introduce some simple marketing, right? The last bit of your 90 days, we're going to start an email list. Even if you only have 10 people, we're going to email those 10 people. We're going to plan content pillars for your posts, right? We're going to get strategic about what we're doing. We're not going to be spontaneous about it. Because spontaneity is what gets us back to abandoning cart when things don't go wrong, right? And there's a sequence for that too, you guys. But get strategic. And maybe, just maybe, if everything is like, firing on all cylinders, maybe we test a second offer, but only if your first one is working. You have to get in the habit of repeatedly doing something and building a repeatable system for you to be able to see what you're doing is actually working. We're going to track the KPIs to see where the weak spots are and what you need to beef up. We're going to work on those. And then you can have a second offer. But not until you work on your first one, right? So, real talk here. If all of this sounds like what you need, if you have come to this episode and you're like, okay, well, you just blew my mind. And how do I do this? And I don't have a lot of money. I have something for you. And I build something for you. I have it all mapped out on a CEO starter kit. Like truly, it's free. So there's a link in the show notes if you want to go get that. But I also have a cool little membership called the Collective. Do you hear that? That's fun because it's my name. And I am creating this space where people like you that maybe are brand new, they get to honestly get their ducks in a row without losing their minds. And I want to help you do that without you having to go and spend an exorbitant amount of money on like a business coach and maybe a person like me that is just going to build it for you. If you don't have like the capital to do that, you can do it by yourself. I promise you. But inside the collective, we're going to be doing bi-weekly strategy calls. So that's where we're going to tackle like real business problems and help you map out your next step. So again, creating your funnel, if you will. Bi-weekly co-working sessions. So you get to show up in like a body doubling situation for accountability and momentum. And then we're going to do some challenges to build traction without the burnout. That'll be super fun. And then some like tools and templates and plug and play sort of resources for the stuff that like you don't want to Google, right? And my hope is that we're building a community that actually gets it. Like these people also are struggling with, what do I say? How do I show up? I don't even know how to create an automation or what my workflow should look like. These are your people. So this is not a course. Rather, it's a community. And it's really an engine for your early growth. So if you are in business and you are struggling to figure out what that even looks like, you know, your business isn't meant to be built in isolation. Truly. Like business is super, super lonely, really lonely. So I want you to feel like you have a community, or at least me, to sort of bootstrap your business. So if you're in your first 90 days or even in your first 2 years, come sit with us. Have a good time. And all the links will be in the show notes below. So if you find that that's your jam, come on in. But starting a business is a very sacred thing to do. It is super messy and it is super magical. Like it's about coffee at 5 a.m. and doubt at 11 p.m. You know, like it's about crawling into bed and you're like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Every business owner is like that. But it's about launching, tweaking, and growing all at once too. I call it like this super magical, messy middle of our lives. And you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. I literally have been saying this to so many people of like, we get in this decision paralysis, but like, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to start with something. And then we tweak it. And then we move on as we go. So whether you're on day 3 or 87, keep going, my friends. Your future clients are out there. Your confidence is going to grow. And you are becoming that big CEO every single day. Until next time, be bold, be kind, and keep building. Hey friend, thanks for hanging out with me today. If something in this episode clicked for you, I want you to shoot me a DM over on Instagram. The link is in the show notes. Let's chat about how you're making the messy middle work for you. If you loved what you heard, would you mind sharing this episode with a friend who needs to hear it too? And drop a quick review if you don't mind. It helps get the word out, and I appreciate it more than you know. Catch you in the next one.